You're watching E.T.N. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to do our review for Game of Thrones. And, you know, I guess I can take some solace in knowing that it took 5 years for one of my favorite characters to get killed off. And we say goodbye to Jon Snow. Sadly, my number one favorite character, or number two, it switches between him and Tyrion. What an episode. My God, what an episode. I mean, you want to talk about making an impact on the way out without staging this big war. And speaking of war, we see that Stannis, despite his dreadful numbers, and despite the fact that he is marching to a losing battle, still marches. In the wake of losing everything, not only his daughter, but his wife hanging herself, and then the Red Lady taking off. And you know, it's funny because when you think back to all the seasons where she's been counseling him, she had me convinced that everything she was doing was right. Everything she was, not right, but what I'm saying is every time she made a prediction or some sort of a prophecy, it came true. It seemed like she was steering him in the right direction, only for it to all come crashing down at the end. And then Stannis meeting his demise to the blade of Brienne of Tarth. And, you know, this amazes me that he was that stubborn, especially after hearing that Melisandre took off on him. I would have gathered my men. I wouldn't have been so selfish. And but be that as it may, he'd rather die than go down as a king who ran. And I guess I can understand that. Just crazy episode. Now, we did spend some time in Mereen, which to me probably was the one part of this episode that just, it was fine, but it was like, okay, let's get past this. I don't know if Daenerys is reunited with the Dothraki or if they're going to kill her, but that should be interesting to see how that plays out next season. Obviously, Tyrion's going to be running the city while Dario and Jorah take off to go find Daenerys. And we'll see. He's very experienced. I think he's going to be a lot of help to Daenerys going forward. And I think she's in good hands. Once that team gets back together, it'll be interesting to see how they turn the city around, as well as continue to hone and continue to help Daenerys grow into the queen that she wants to be. But one of the big moments of this episode was the atonement walk by Cersei. And, you know, I got to say, honestly, I hate Cersei. I always have. Since day one, I hate Cersei. And even a couple of weeks ago, watching her drink water off the floor, only for like a half a second did I feel any compassion for her. But I got to say, even to the one character I probably hate the most, I kind of fell for that. I mean, I thought she hit rock bottom a couple of weeks ago. This was rock bottom. I mean, she is walking through the kingdom naked, being pegged with food and mud, and her feet cut up. And something tells me now that she's back at the Red Keep, I have a feeling this city's going to pay the price. And it still wouldn't be a very wise decision for her to do that, considering that she still has a lot of other things going on around her. She doesn't even know that her daughter's dead. And speaking of which, I knew the moment that she was kissed that she was a goner. I knew it. It was just something that told me, all right, that kiss was just too intense. And it came after such, I guess I could say it's a touching moment, if not weird, that she did realize that Jaime is her father. And look, it was a touching moment. I mean, when you think about the premise behind it, it's like, okay, it's almost like for a second there, I didn't know how to feel. You know, it's like 1 minute I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Next minute I'm like, but that is like an abomination and ancestral. I don't know if I should feel good about that. But nonetheless, it's a TV show. And it still was sad to see her die in his arms right after she basically embraced him and said that she was happy that he was her father. And can you imagine how Cersei's going to react when he brings this news back to the kingdom? And what's this going to do for Dorne and Westeros now, and the Lannisters and the Martells? It's going to be crazy. Finally, the saddest part of this episode for me was going back to Castle Black and this was tough to watch, as Jon Snow was led to believe that his uncle returned, only to walk right into a trap where more than a handful of Night's Watchmen basically gutted him. And every time they stabbed him, they said for the Night's Watch or whatever the case may be. And, you know, I had hoped that after the first stab, he would like run or something like that. But I don't know, what was it, 5, 6 times? I mean, it was dreadful. It was dreadful. He's been one of my favorite characters throughout all these seasons, and it's really going to suck not ever seeing him again. It's just, it sucks. It sucks. But there were some bright moments in this episode as well. And one of the bright moments was seeing Theon finally come to his senses and rescue Sansa from not death, but basically being tortured. I mean, you know, Ramsay's sick girlfriend was about to peg her with an arrow just for the hell of it, before Theon intervened and basically chucked her off the top of the castle to her death. And then they made an escape, a big jump off the top of the wall, hopefully into a pound of snow, into a big mound of snow, so that way the landing is safe. And then hopefully they escape, you know, and with the war just finishing and the cleanup, you would hope that they get away on time. By the time Ramsay gets back there and notices his girlfriend's dead and that Sansa and Reek, or Theon, if you will, are gone, hopefully they have a good head start before anything happens to them. We'll have to wait till next year. Boy, this season really went by fast. It really did. It's like, it feels like just the other day I watched the first episode, and now episode 10 is done. We have a bunch of dead characters again. Some of them very close to our hearts. Like I said, Jon Snow is one of my favorite characters, my top 3 favorite characters on the show. And speaking of my top 3, because we spoke about Jon and we spoke about Tyrion, Arya, my other favorite character on the show, Arya, gets her vengeance, but at a price. And while it was wonderful to see her take the disguise and get her vengeance, she seems to have paid the price to the God of many faces. And now she's blind going into next year. We're going to see what happens there. As far as Xhaka, I mean, he just like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. And then you see she starts taking off all these masks. And I'm there. And when it got to her face on that dead body, then I began to question myself: is she even alive? Is she, you know, I mean, she's no one, right? So did she die at some point, and then she was brought there? Did she drink that water? They never showed it. Very interesting stuff. So it's like it was a sad ending of an episode. There was much death. There was so much going on, but nonetheless, it makes next season that much more compelling to watch. And we'll have to see what happens. Jon Snow, man. Oh, I don't think I'll ever wear my Crows Before Hoes shirt again, because obviously Jon Snow is down in the Night's Watch. But I'll tell you one thing. Those guys are going to pay the price. They're the ones who are going to have to deal with the White Walkers now, not Jon. He won't be turning undead. They will. And it doesn't look good for the kingdom right now. It really doesn't. It does not look good. We'll see how things play out going forward. Until then, this review is done. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe. Join the nation's Facebook page to meet other subscribers, or visit E.T.N's Facebook page and Twitter page. Links for all are in the description.